Known throughout his life as the Knight of the Immaculata, Saint Maximilian Maria Kolbe was born in Poland in 1894. His father, Julius Kolbe, a working-class citizen, struggled under Russian rule. His mother was Polish. They had a tough time raising their 3 children, Francis, Raymond, who was later named Maximilian in his religious order, and Joseph. Julius joined the Polish legions and was captured by the Russians for fighting for the independence of Poland. He was later hanged to death. Kolbe was an impulsive and badly behaved child. His mother prayed for him every day to Mother Mary. She prayed to her, guiding her son. Kolbe, according to several biographies, was personally called by the Virgin Mary, both to his holy life and to his eventual martyrdom. One day, she appeared to him in a vision holding 2 crowns. One was white, representing purity, the other red for martyrdom. When he was asked to choose between these 2 destinies, the troublesome child and future saint said he wanted both. Radically changed by the incident, the young boy chose both the path of sanctity and of a martyr from that day. At age 13, Raymond Kolbe became fascinated by the Franciscan ideals preached by 2 conventual Franciscans who conducted a parish mission at his church. Soon thereafter, he and his elder brother Francis left home to enter the Franciscan Minor Seminary in Lwów. This seminary was in Austria-Hungary, and it meant illegally crossing the border. During his formation and study there, the makings of a saint continued to deepen. He practiced what he learned, making sacrifices and helping others at every given opportunity. But most of all, he nourished a tender and profound love for the Blessed Virgin Mary, whose devotion is at the very heart of Franciscan life. In 1910, Kolbe was allowed to enter the novitiate. He professed his first vows in 1911, adopting the name Maximilian, and the final vows in 1914 in Rome, adopting the names Maximilian Maria to show his veneration of the Blessed Virgin Mary. After a short period in Krakow, Poland, Kolbe went to study in Rome, Italy. He gained a doctorate in philosophy at the Pontifical Gregorian University in 1915. In 1919, he also gained a doctorate of theology from the University of St. Bonaventure. Kolbe was ordained as a priest and after completing his studies, returned to the newly independent Poland in 1919. Soon after, however, he developed chronic tuberculosis, which eventually destroyed one of his lungs and weakened the other. Throughout the rest of his life, he experienced poor health, but never complained, seeing his illness as an opportunity to suffer for Mary. Kolbe was an active priest and particularly keen to work for the conversion of sinners and enemies of the Church. During his time in Rome, he witnessed angry protests by the Freemasons against the Vatican. Kolbe had a strong devotion to the Virgin Mary, and he became an active participant in the Militia Immaculata, or Knights of Immaculate. Kolbe helped the Immaculata friars to publish high pamphlets, books, and a daily newspaper, Mali Dziennik. Kolbe even gained a radio license and publicly broadcast his views on religion. He was successful in using the latest technology to spread his message, as well as writing extensive essays and pieces for the newspaper. Kolbe composed the Immaculata Prayer, the consecration to the Immaculately Conceived Virgin Mary. When he returned to Poland as a young priest, he was appointed professor to the Franciscan seminarians in Krakow. He soon had an attack of tuberculosis, and along with his failing health, he was deemed unsuitable for the task. But his zeal for souls, characteristic of a true saint, did not diminish because of his physical ailments. He promoted faith through newspapers and magazines, which eventually reached an extraordinary circulation. There were more than 800 friars, all working for the Immaculate, that it was called the City of Immaculate. They lived heroic lives of poverty, continuous prayer, and voluntary penance. They were united in their mission of evangelizing not only Poland, but the whole world. Between 1930 and 1936, he took a series of missions to Japan, where he founded a monastery at the outskirts of Nagasaki. Kolbe decided to build the monastery on a mountainside, that which many people believed was not the best suited to be in tune with nature. Later, when the atomic bomb was dropped on Nagasaki, Kolbe's monastery was saved because the blast of the bomb hit the other side of the mountain, which took the main force of the blast. Had Kolbe built the monastery on the preferred side of the mountain, as he was advised, his work and all of his fellow monks would have been destroyed. He also entered into dialogue with local Buddhist priests, and some of them became friends. However, increasingly ill, he returned to Poland in 1936 and reassumed direction of their publication. It had now become the largest Catholic publishing center in Poland, possibly in the world. In 1939, Nazi regime invaded Poland. Father Kolbe was arrested and imprisoned in the Pawiak prison, and later transferred to Auschwitz death camp. Father Kolbe was put in a barrack along with other prisoners. The next day, one of the prisoners escaped, and this made the authorities furious. The commander ordered 10 random prisoners to be starved to death in order to deter further escape attempts. One of the prisoners who was selected for the starvation bunker cried out in grief, lamenting his family. Father Kolbe, although not among the selected, volunteered in a heroic act of charity to be the victim in place of the prisoner who was crying. Rather surprised, the commander accepted Kolbe in place of the prisoner. During the time in the cell, he led the men in songs and prayer. At every inspection, when almost all the others were now lying on the floor, Father Kolbe was seen kneeling or standing in the center as he looked cheerfully in the face of the guards. Father Kolbe never asked for anything and did not complain. Rather, he encouraged the others. One of the guards remarked, "This priest is really a great man. We have never seen anyone like him." After 2 weeks, nearly all the prisoners, except Kolbe and 2 others, had died due to dehydration and starvation. The Nazi commander then asked the guards to execute Kolbe and other prisoners with a lethal injection. On the vigil of the Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary, August 14, 1941, Father Maximilian's 2-week ordeal in the starvation bunker was brought to an end. Those present say he calmly accepted death, lifting up his arms, smiling. He was the last to die, very providentially on the feast of Our Lady's Assumption. Saint Maximilian Kolbe's body was cremated by the camp officials on the feast of the Assumption. He had stated years earlier, "I would like to be reduced to ashes for the cause of the Immaculata, and may this dust be carried over the whole world so that nothing would remain." Pope Paul VI beatified Maximilian Kolbe in 1971. In 1982, Saint Pope John Paul II canonized him as Martyr of Charity, calling him patron of our difficult century. At his canonization in 1982, Pope John Paul II said, "Maximilian did not die, but gave his life for his brother."